Does this inject some doubt into the Fed's next move? And if so, how?
Yes, it does, but it does not take June off the table. And let me explain why. This is a weak to mixed report, weak relative to expectations in terms of the miss on job creation, but mixed in terms of where you would expect the labor market to be overall at this stage. We're still creating 138,000 jobs, which is above the steady state of 75 to 100,000. And wage growth is not great, but it's okay. So when you put these two things together, I think it keeps a September hike on the table, call it a 60 to 70% probability, but it does reduce significantly the notion that they would hike again in September. So June is still on the table, 60 to 70%. September probably off the table at this stage.
Mohamed, take me inside the room around the table at the FOMC and talk to me about how this economic debate is going to play out. It's a question that keeps coming up. Unemployment keeps grinding lower. Decade lows, 4.3%, but wages aren't accelerating. On the one hand, it spells out full employment. On the other, it says there's still some slack. How does that play out at the Fed?
So first, the reduction in the unemployment rate this month was completely due to a lower participation rate, and that's bad news. People are not rejoining the labor market, they're still exiting the labor market, and that is bad news in terms of overall growth potential. So unemployment rate is going down for the wrong reasons. That will suggest to people sitting around the table that structural impediments to growth are real, which will suggest that stimulus is not the answer, that you really do need the administration and Congress to get going on the pro-growth reforms. As for wages, I think it's also structural. All the models suggest that wage growth should be much higher. I think there's been a fundamental change in where we create jobs. We create jobs in the non-tradable sector, and they have more sluggish wage dynamics. So I think what this report signals to the Fed is focus on the structural issues, and they will say, well, that's not our domain. This is about the administration. This is about Congress. They need to get going.